What is
Damon
fuck
Jo-
you money? What's fuck you
Yeah,
money?
I asked Damon John that question. What do you need in the bank to say it's fuck you money?
You need a lot more than money to say fuck you money. That's the whole thing about it, right? Because fuck you money in and of itself isn't a real concept. The whole idea of fuck you money doesn't work if you're still being paid by the matrix, if you're still stuck inside of a contract and your words are controlled. There's a lot of people with a lot of money who can't say what they think. A lot of people with a lot of money who still have to take the injection they're told to take. A lot of people with a lot of money who can't stand up and say, no, that's wrong, I don't agree with this, because they're going to lose contracts, sponsorships, etc. So to say fuck you money, I mean, you have to have enough money to not ever work again, depending on how you earn money. Because I'm completely and utterly self-sufficient, I can't be canceled. So I think my fuck you money number is actually going to be lower than others because my money will never stop. But I don't know. I mean, it's
That
difficult.
made no sense.
You don't think so?
Because by definition, fuck you money would be you can say whatever you want, and if you get fired or you have contracts, it doesn't matter because you're sitting on a pile of like.
Well, then it's a very difficult question to answer because it depends on your lifestyle, depends how you like to spend money, blah blah blah. I think
So
once
what's
you
your
have,
number?
Once you have 50M, then life's pretty, there's nothing else to buy. I mean, what are you gonna buy? Like 50M is plenty of money. You could buy a stupid boat if you really wanted one, but you could also charter one. I mean, besides that, there's literally nothing to buy with that kind of money. I think once you're above 20M, life's around the same, personally. I think that once you get above 20M, you're just doing it for sport. So I think that's around fuck you money. But if I only had 20 million, I'd still be concerned about having an income of some sorts. And if my income was dependent on me agreeing with certain paradigms that the social system, the matrix tries to propagate, then it would be different, right? So it depends. It all depends on the individual. That's why I would say fuck you money. It's around 20.
Okay, that's fair. So
Good number.
the things you're doing now, you've said, what do you put out? What is you said hundreds of millions of dollars you're worth.
Bro, I'm a humble man. You didn't know
You've
that?
never said
They
your
didn't
net
put-
worth. You've
They
never
didn't
said
put
it
this on the
online.
sheet.
What?
They didn't put this on the sheet. I'm super humble.
No, that wasn't on there. It wasn't.
I'm as humble as they come. I'm just a poor guy out here in Romania, just with a whole bunch of cars. But no, I'm doing
So
all
what's
right.
what's your net worth?
Net worth is very difficult to quantify. I don't believe in what net worth quantification. I think it's all bullshit. How do you quantify net worth? Companies you can have a company with an 8 times multiplier by one valuation. Another
Liquid.
one,
If you had to go liquid tomorrow.
if I had to sell everything I own,
If you had to just accumulate as much money as you could tomorrow, what could
24
you do?
hours.
Yeah.
in 24 hours, if I had to get hold of as much cash as possible, so I wouldn't be able to sell into my companies that quickly. I wouldn't be able to sell any property that quickly.
I'll give you a year. I'll even give you a year to say you can sell your companies. But it's like you're getting ready to cash as just, all right, we're playing a game in life, and you're going to come up with some oxymoron. But whoever has the most physical liquid money wins.
Yeah.
You have 1 year to accumulate it. How much do you think you'd be worth?
I think it's difficult. It is difficult because I think my companies are very, very hard to evaluate. The reason I'm giving you this answer, and not a very short one, is because I think that my companies rely so heavily on my brand that they're very, very difficult to sell. But if I have a company that makes $5 million a month, every single month, pure profit, completely online, then that's a valuable company, right? What's that a year? What's 5 times 12? And then you can put an 8 times multiplier on that easily. So that's a $300-400 million company. But will anyone buy it if I'm not associated to the company? I don't know. It's very difficult. But 300, 350, easily.
So
That's fuck you money.
I mean, it's enough, but having fuck you money is not enough. I have a fuck you. You have to have a fuck you life. You can't just have fuck you money. I'm sitting out here in Romania inside of a house with 20 armed guards outside with a tower and AR-15s, and I've got 10 passports and 55 bank accounts, and that's what you need to have fuck you money. You can't just sit in America with one.
that sounds
passport.
bad.
Sounds like you're like on the run.
Yeah.
No,
that
but it's
sounds
not
like
being
you're
on
in
the
the
run.
terminal.
It's not about being on the run. Just sit in America and have $20 million with one passport, sitting in America thinking you have fuck you money. No, you don't. You say the wrong thing, you piss the government off. They're going to come in your house. They're going to fucking take the house you own. They're going to lock you up. You ain't got fuck you money for nothing. This whole thing's the whole paradigm's a lie. The government's the biggest mafia in the world. If you can't tell them to fuck off, you can't tell anyone to fuck off. So the whole idea of fuck you money is all skewed anyway. Like you have to be above the law in many different ways to truly have fuck you money. And you're not going to do that under one jurisdiction.
Do you think that you're able to be above the law where you live?
It's not about being above the law. It is about being above the law, but the easiest way to become above the law is to be under lots of different jurisdictions. If you have 10 different passports, it's much harder to constrain you. During COVID, Americans, English people, whatever, were all stuck in their houses because they couldn't fly because of X rule. Well, if you have 10 passports, well, then you're not American on that day. I'd turn up to countries and they say you're not allowed because you're English. I'd say, okay, well then I'm Estonian. Estonians aren't allowed. Okay, I'm Romanian. Romanians are allowed in. Same guy, different passport. You have to have multiple passports. You have to be on multiple grids. The idea of living off grid is complete fallacy. You can't do that. You have to be on as many grids as possible. This is what you talk about fuck you money. The people with fuck you money don't even own anything. They own a share of an entity which owns things they can borrow. They have unlimited citizenships and passports. They have money out in the metaverse, in the sky, hidden all around the world. Fuck you money isn't about having money in your bank account in your name. If you still do that, you can't say fuck you to anybody.
I would disagree on some of that. I think there could be another side that would argue the fuck you money is they have so much, but they don't have 20 armed guards, and they can do everything you just said because they're viewed not as a threat to the government, or they don't need the passports because they can travel. Like I'm guessing there's plenty of celebrities who are viewed as friendlies and don't have the setup that you have, but can still travel as freely, COVID, not COVID, whatever, which to me would be above the fuck you that you just described, because you can do everything without switching it.
Because, and I am a fan of you, Dave, and I like the things you say, by the way, but just you to understand that the paradigms that we view the world in are completely and utterly different, because you still believe in the idea of a law-abiding citizen. You believe that if you're a law-abiding citizen, the government's never going to come for you and they're never going to hurt you because you stick to the rules. And if you have not learned anything in the last 3 years of COVID, that the rules can be turned and used against you at any moment to lock you in your fucking house without reason, where they can come along and become a communist country at the drop of a hat and literally restrict your very movement, and you to sit there and say that I trust these people absolutely and completely with my freedom and control over my life is asinine. Because
by the way, I don't believe what you just. I don't a lot of respects trust the government, all that stuff. Nobody has. I feel like so I don't agree with what you're saying, but I do feel like there's people, not me, in position of power who have manipulated the government for their benefit and
completely
right. So I guess they're just two different things. They're the ones who run the government.
No, but my point is the absolute, when you talk about fuck you money, to me, the idea of fuck you money is they told me to stay in my house because of X. I decided not to. I've gone outside. The police are now here. And I told them, fuck off, fuck you. That's fuck you money. And that takes more than just money. That's my point. My point is that listen, a broke boy can tell anyone to fuck off. Like the average guy can tell the average guy to fuck off all day long. If we're not talking about telling the government to get fucked, then who are we talking about?
Right. But take an example like the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, right? He's rich. He's the governor of California. They had the strictest lockdowns they had. And then he waltzed out to like Napa and had lunch and dinner at a fancy restaurant, no mask. But that's almost a flaunting fuck you. It's like, I'll tell you the rules, but I don't have to play by them.
I mean, he shut off my electricity. He shut off my electricity. We threw a party at our house. He turned off our electricity and everything.
That is exactly my point. These are the people who are in charge, and this is my point. So when you said earlier, what's fuck you money? And I said money is the easy part of the equation. My rebuttal to that is that if you only have an American passport and you are governed by people like the man you just described, and the only government which will allow you to reside in that country permanently is the United States. Any other government, any other country is going to tell you, no, you have to go home after X amount of time. You can't tell anybody anything. You are a peon you're a slave inside of the matrix still. People may look at me and say, why does he live in an obscure Eastern European country with his own private army? Why does he need so many citizenships, et cetera? Because I can get on my private jet and disappear. And anyone with money who has not put that kind of plan in place, I don't think can really, truly tell anyone to fuck off. Because they will send someone to your house and they will drag you out in fucking handcuffs.
Right.
That's the end.
I guess the only semantics I'm saying is I think there are people who, like, almost on top of the government are using that as, like, their vehicle, and like the ones that you're disappearing from could disappear as well, but they're kind of laughing at everybody else. But some of it, I agree with what you're saying here.
Yeah, well, I've just tried very, very hard to escape the matrix. I think the whole point of having money is to escape the matrix. There's a lot of people with money whose money still constricts them. It's very easy to get rich if you're going to be constricted by the money. If you try and make money in a way that you're no longer constricted, it's much more difficult. I have friends worth hundreds of millions of dollars, right? But it's all in property in the United States. It's not liquid. It's hard to sell. It's fully, the tax man's all over it. The banks are all over it. They can't just disappear quickly. Like, they're still controlled. They're still constricted. They may be rich, but they're not free. They're not free in any regard.
Where'd you make all your money?
Because I'm outside of the matrix, Dave.
Where'd you make, like...
I'm in Zion. Have you not seen the movie?
Yeah,
I'm in Zion. I come in and out of the matrix on the never.
How'd you make your first million?
I had a company that had webcam girls talking to guys online.
all boils down to selling sex, one way or
Yep,
the
sex
other. There you
sells.
go.
Sex sells.
There you go. All right. I'm sorry, Bree, I cut you off. Did you have a question?
Are you like a paranoid guy? Do you think that there are people after you? Like, why do you need to, are you ever going to have to need to escape?
It's not about being paranoid because, firstly, everyone calls you paranoid until the day you're prepared. That's the first thing. The second thing is that nobody is after me, and I'm a law-abiding citizen, and I can fly to America right now and stay there forever if I so choose. It's just I don't see why people are so comfortable to live with absolutely zero contingencies. It's ostrich, it's head in the sand. It'll be fine. And I think the last few years in Western countries, America wasn't even the worst. You look at Canada, Australia, New Zealand, etc. If they've not woken you up to the tyranny which can be enforced upon you at random for basically no reason, and you don't think you need to do anything at all to prepare for a repeat of that, to me, that is ignorant. Very simple. I think that if you think they've done this shit once and they're not going to come up with some new excuse to do it again, you are ignorant. They're going to do it again, and they're intent on enslaving mankind one way or another. And I, throughout the entire pandemic, lived a life of absolute freedom. I went anywhere I wanted, to any country I wanted, anytime I wanted, without wearing a mask, without injections, purely because I had so many citizenships, no one could tie me down. There was always a hole. There was always a way in. You add in some private jets and you're done. And I don't see why people don't want to live that way. Why do you want to sit and go, well, I have one blue passport, and if Uncle Sam decides I'm a shit muncher and I have to stay home, that's fine. Like, where's your sovereignty? Why don't you stand up and go, no, I'm an individual and I don't want to listen to this shit. I don't call that paranoid. I call that being prepared.